You know, not many airports have the long concrete runways you'll find at places like Los Angeles International and New York's Kennedy. So being able to do soft and short field takeoffs and landings well opens up a whole world of fun places you can fly to, from grass strips that have pancake breakfast to outer island beach resorts in the Bahamas. And besides that, doing soft and short field takeoffs and landings well is lots of fun. So let's see how easy they are to do. Clear. As you know, the reason we use short field takeoff technique is because we might have a short field. Or maybe we have an obstacle at the end of the runway we need to clear. Now, we've already done the run-up, and we looked at the checklist, and the checklist calls for 10 degrees flaps when we're using a short field takeoff technique. So I've already got my 10 degrees flaps set in. So we've checked the checklist over. We're ready to go. Let's taxi out onto the runway. Thermal traffic Cessna 359er echoes here, taxiing out on runway 12 for takeoff. Runway 12 thermal will be staying in the pattern. Now, as you taxi onto the runway, it's important to make sure you use it all. So I'm taxiing right up to the end of the runway here. There's an old aviation expression about how useful the runway behind you is. Well, let's just say it's not very useful. Now, when we get into position here, what I'm going to do is set the brakes, hold back on the wheel a little bit, and gradually apply full power and not let the airplane roll. This way, I start my takeoff run with full power in. I'll check the gauges. They all look good. Now I release the brakes, and we're on our way. Now the checklist says to add a little back pressure to establish the airplane in a slight tail-low attitude. And I think the purpose for that is to keep the weight off the nose wheel of the aircraft, minimize the drag. Now we're going to run along the runway this way, slightly tail-low, and rotate aggressively at 51 knots so that the airplane climbs at 57 knots. And son of a gun, I just happened to hit that attitude for a 57-knot climb. And that's what memorizing the attitude is all about. Now we're going to keep this attitude, which may seem very nose high to you, but don't worry about it. Once you have it memorized, it'll be the same every time. It'll be normal gradually. But we're going to keep this attitude until we've cleared the obstacle. Then we'll put the nose down just a little bit. And as the airplane speeds up through 60 knots, we'll raise the flaps. And then we'll establish the airplane in its normal climb attitude. And that's a short field takeoff. Okay, now let's do a short field landing. And everything's the same about a short field landing, except that you must be clearing an obstacle, or you might have a short runway. In any event, your approach will be steeper than normal, and your speed control is very important because you don't want too much speed, because you'll float too much on landing. So we've got our 62 knots that are required for this. We've just cleared the obstacle, and as we clear the obstacle, we'll gradually pull the power to idle and flare normally. And as soon as we touch down, we're going to raise the flaps and get on the brakes and get the airplane stopped as quickly as we can. And with good technique, you can get stopped in nothing flat. You know what? I think doing short field takeoffs and landings is one tremendous amount of fun. And being able to do them well opens up a whole world of airports to you that you wouldn't be able to go through otherwise. One thing though, be sure to stay within the capabilities of your airplane and use good pilot technique. Do that, and you're going to have a tremendous amount of fun.